Three, two, one. What's going on, everyone? You're watching Ash on Comics. My name is Ash, and it's Storytime Live. I never know my own branding. Every time I do this live, I'm like, it's blah, blah, blah. It's what am I doing again? This is Storytime Live. It's the 3 times a week comic hangout stream where bunch of regular comic fans, typically, we're always welcoming new people, come in and we just hang out, talk about comics. Sometimes we talk about culture war nonsense. Sometimes we talk about other geeky stuff. Like last episode, I think we were talking about Rocky, had a good discussion about Rocky movies. It's just fun. It's a way that we can sit in the COVID and have fun talking amongst other comic fans, with comics. In the house is Melissa first. She's typically the first one here. It's hard to beat. So good luck if you're going to try to be first around her. Gateway into comics. My good buddy, Chase over there. He's got a channel. It's kind of died down recently because he's been real busy with work. But he's got a really good channel. I really hope that he finds time to get back into doing. I like his writing reviews. Like when he talks about a comic, he really kind of gets into the writing aspects of it. That's kind of his forte, and I really like seeing his opinions and his perspectives. I love one of the reasons I do this channel. And I sit here and I spout my opinions into the interwebs, is because I'm a person who very much likes seeing and hearing other people's perspectives. We all tend to see the universe through our own narrow lens, that we've been shaped through our life experiences and everything, and that's just how we see the world. But I'm very fascinated in altering that lens and how books in particular have taught me to do that. Books, of course, comic books being an extension of books. It's something that they do, I think, better than any other art form. I think that's the real importance of books, is to allow you to see the world through a different set of eyes. And hopefully when you can see that fictional world in the book through a different lens, you can come out of the book and see your own world through a different lens. And it's really fascinating. I really think it's, for those of you who know what I'm talking about, hopefully you get it. But Chase has some really good perspectives. He is the sole reason, buddy, if you're still in the chat, hopefully you are. He is the sole reason that I picked up Spider-Man Life Story back when it came out. I was big anti-Marvel. Screw those guys. They suck. They've destroyed my childhood. I want nothing to do with them. And he did this fascinating review on Spider-Man Life Story issue number 1. And I said, I need to alter my thinking. I need to reconsider what I'm doing. And so I went down and I picked up that issue. The following week, went to the comic book store. I was like, great, it's cool. They still have an issue. I picked it up and I read it, and it altered my perspective of Marvel. And I did a review of that book. So if you want to know more about that story and, kind of my thoughts on it, please check out that video. I'm going to guess that Chase is not in the chat. He hasn't responded. But that's okay. Let's see. Zach is in the house. What's going on? He says, evening, everyone. This is the calmest sounding YouTube video I've listened to all day. Nola says, I concur. Not Richards. What's Not Richards? I don't know what you guys are talking about. I don't know if being a calm YouTube is a good thing or a bad thing, but we can shake it up with a little bit of controversial talk. What should we talk about? I'm waiting for Ed to be in the house. Ed, where are you? So Ed DM'd me. You guys know Ed Brewer. He's my Pink Floyd buddy. he DM'd me on Twitter, and he gave me some suggestions for some comic books. And I said, you know what? Oh, that's the Richards thing. Zach says, it's after midnight. I don't care what my last name is. That's an Englentine joke. You did an Englentine joke on my stream. I gotcha. So Ed sent me a tweet saying, I got some suggestions for the show, what to read. And I said, you know what? I appreciate that. You're the first person to actually DM me a suggestion, so I'm going to honor it. And he wanted me to read Astro City issue 47 and 48. So tonight we're going to read issue 47 in honor of him. But he's not here. What's going on? He's like, hey, I want you to read this. Okay. And then you're not going to be here. Yeah. What are you going to do? Melissa says, the X-Men are villains. I miss them as heroes, and I miss Danger Room and X-Mansion. Oscar Krakoa abandoned the Danger Room and Heroic for radical segregation, sex culpable. Melissa, my friend, I love you, but we get it. we get it. The X-Men are terrible. Yeah, you know what? I feel like I'm the only person. I don't know if you guys watched my video on 4X or not. Issue number 4. I feel like I'm the only person who feels this way. Everyone else is like, oh, I love 4X. It's so good. And I'm just like, this issue disgusts me. It disgusts me. It's a complete metaphor for children making decisions over their bodies and parents not being allowed to. In this idea, in the metaphorical sense, in this case, in the book, it's about being a mutant. But maybe in the real world, it might be like being non-binary or being trans or something like this, right? You're born different. And, you know, these communities really rallied towards the X-Men, and Marvel Comics has really catered to these communities by really tailoring the X-Men to be representative of them specifically, rather than what it used to be in the past, where X-Men were just this sort of nebulous idea of, you know, hey, you know, we're different and we're not liked because we're different, but everyone is different. That's the uniqueness of the human race, right? And when you're growing up as a teenager, those are your awkward years, and you're lacking self-confidence. And even if you're just, you know, what the quote unquote social norm, you're like a straight white male, right? That's what me, right? Growing up, you still are uncomfortable. You still don't feel like you fit in. And I could identify with the X-Men, even being a straight white male. You know, like, I still identify. That was the idea. Everyone feels like an outsider in some extent. But they've really tailored the X-Men now to no. It's for the really, you know, hardcore minorities and the, what do they call them? Not disparaged. I forget what the term is. But anyways, so that book 4X to me just screamed like it was a metaphor for that. Like, because right now that's a big thing in society, right? Is you get the trans, and you know, I'm like this. Like, if you're an adult, you live your life however you want, right? I'm not going to tell you how to live your life. That's your life. I'm a staunch libertarian. I believe no one has the right to tell another human being how they have to live their life. Now, the one caveat to that is we all have certain liberties, and you don't get to infringe on my liberties. That's where your rights stop, right? You can say, well, Ash, I feel like killing people. Too bad. You don't get to do that. But Ash, you said I could live my life however I want. Yes, but you can't infringe on other people's lives. Now, if you could find a whole group of people who were like, I want to be killed, and we could find some way to establish some sort of weird community where people went and I'm not going to go down that road, but you see what I'm saying? So I can definitely support things that I disagree with. I don't agree with drug use, but I absolutely 100% support the legalization of drugs and stuff, because as long as you're not hurting me and you're not hurting other people, you want to sit in your home and you want to smoke a bowl, what do I care? I might try to persuade you against that and say, I don't think that's a good idea, but your life, right? Now, where I draw the line is kids. When you're a kid, you don't have the social understanding, the awareness, the life experiences, the maturity. There's so many cognitive deficiencies, so many things that children can't do, which is why we don't let them make decisions, right? Anyone who has kids or just is close to kids or whatever, you should know, like if you said, hey, you get to pick dinner every night, they're going to be like, oh, I want McDonald's every night, or something stupid. I want ice cream for dinner every night. That would be bad, right? Like they wouldn't make good decisions for themselves because they don't have the wherewithal to do it, which is why we don't let them make decisions. But in the comic community, it gravitates towards freaks and weirdos. We have been seeing lately a lot of pedos. You may be aware that Mile High Comics runs a drag show for children. It's really disgusting. And this counterculture movement has gone into the really deranged and perverted, and it's targeting minors. And part of that is the whole, kids, trans kids. There's no such thing as a trans kid. It's a confused kid. You can't tell me that a 7-year-old has the ability to articulate, let's say a 7-year-old boy has the ability to articulate how they identify as a woman and what it means to be a woman. They don't even know what it means to be a man, and they're born with XY chromosome. They don't have the frame of reference to be able, they're just, all they know is their life. All they know is, I feel this way. What does that way mean? Who knows? Who knows? Now, when you're 18 and you decide, I want to live my life as a woman, okay, go for it. That's you. You're an adult. You can make your own choices. I'm not going to stop you. But children, no. And there's this movement right now to take away that privilege. Well, I should say right, but rights that can be taken away aren't rights, they're privileges. Of parents making this decision where the state can actually intervene on the child's behalf and transition, and the parents can't stop them. It's pretty bad. So anyways, this is what X4 really stood out to me, because it was Reed Richards basically saying, no, my kid is a mutant, right? I know this. He's arguably the most powerful mutant that's ever lived, right? He can reshape reality. He can create universes with thought. And this is a kid who should be under control by anyone with you have the barest minimum of common sense and logic. This is, and then we have the X-Men, who are evil, fascist, speciest, if you will, like just they're effed up. They're ruled by some of the most evil murderers ever to exist on the planet, like Mr. Sinister, Apocalypse, Magneto, just to name a few of the people who are in charge. And they kidnap this boy, and they take him to the island, and the Fantastic Four are like, oh, no, you don't. That's our kid. We get a say of what our kid does. And then, the mutants are like, no, he's a mutant, therefore he's a citizen of Krakoa. Krakoa is a state. So it's the state versus the parents. And first 3 issues were fun. Enjoyed. I like seeing the Fantastic Four versus the X-Men. Then Doom gets involved. Doom's my favorite character. Great. And then finally in the last issue, the Fantastic Four go, oh, we're sorry. We understand now. Franklin should be free to make his own choices and go be a mutant with his other mutants. And we were wrong to try to stop him. And I was like, what? No, you weren't. This is a group. We as the readers know that this is a group that is seeking the extinction of the human race. I made a comment on Twitter. I got in a little bit of a discussion with another YouTuber on Twitter about this, and I was like, this is like the equivalent of a Jewish family, let's say a Jewish family adopted a white Aryan kid, right? Because obviously Jewish would have, if it was blood, just for the sake of the analogy. And then the Nazi Germans were like, no, he's got to come and learn from us. And the Jewish family was like, oh, okay, yeah, you go learn from them so that you can learn how to hate us and want us to die. It's like, what? It's just disgusting. And what's really weird is I feel like I'm the only person that sees this, because I get on discussions, and other people are looking at the book and going, I don't see this, Ash. I don't see this there. And I'm like, it's right there. Everyone. Anyways, maybe I'm wrong. I'm not the end all be all. I just have opinions. I share them regularly. So I have a channel. You guys have been pretty talkative. I like that when you're talkative. Well, let's see if I can catch up now. You guys were like not saying anything, and then boom. Let's see. At least Wolverine and Cyclops have each other. Nola, you're amazing, man. Oh man, you never ever go full Magneto. Rusty Deo's in the house. Good to see you, buddy. Welcome back. Let's see. I'm gonna have to skip some of these comments. SJW see the X-Men as them, but the X-Men actually fought to protect those that hated them. When's the last time SJWs helped anyone but themselves? Bingo. That is 100% right. The X-Men were never SJWs. They were heroes, right? They understood, hey, some people disagree with us, and some people will actually try to kill us because they hate us, but we're never going to stoop to that level. We're going to rise above, and we're going to fight on the side of virtue. We are going to forgive our enemies and try to help them and save people. But that's not what they are today. Today they are full-on SJWs. You hit the nail right on the head. Let's see. Okay. Nolan says, thanks, Zach. Keep reading comics. We should be able to agree and disagree. No rules, regulations. Shout out to Blank on Twitter with his love of rules and regulations. Yeah, by the way, I was Longbox Diving was the person I was having a Twitter dispute with. And I wanted to say shout out to him. He, like I said, he's got a YouTube channel, and he was at no point did anything ever get like, screw you. We had very different opinions. I was arguing pretty heatedly, I thought, and we were able to walk away, shake hands, and just be like, cool, you have your opinion, I have my opinion. Awesome. And I was like, man, it was nice to have an adult conversation and no one's like reeing and being triggered and stuff like this. Let's see. Zach says, I saw myself as the Thing when I was a kid. I was big and acne ridden, so I identified with a guy who thought he was a monster but still wanted to be a hero. There you go. I think one of the beauties of Marvel Comics that Stan was able to really pin down was this idea of making these heroes relatable to like real world people. Every hero that really, I think, came out after Spider-Man always had a problem. And that problem could be a metaphor for just a basic real world problem. Like the Thing, he's big, rocky, ugly dude. He's not comfortable in his skin. That's a perfect analogy or a metaphor for, a large kid who's got acne, right? He just feels uncomfortable in his skin. But through the Thing and reading his stories, and that kid can grow up understanding virtue of wanting to help other people and not letting that bring them down. Those were things that comics did for me. Let's see. Nola says, lib on some things, conservative on most everything else. I relate to that mindset for both Melissa and Zach. This is my autistic son Jake looks up to the X-Men. To him, the X-Men are outcasts from society because they share disabilities and gifts. Nolan says, I'm a big guy, 6'3", 270, but big like Ryan Rizmchek of the Saints. I haven't followed football in years. I've always been the tallest and biggest, and always had to be the toughest related to Juggernaut. All right. X-Men are heroes to anybody who's an outcast. Yeah, like I said earlier, I think everyone is an outcast in some way, especially when you're growing up. And especially, back in the day in the 80s, like comics weren't mainstream. Like now we have the MCU, we got all these cartoons. Comics is like normal. No one looks at like Marvel comics and goes, "Oh, that's only for weirdos." But growing up in the 80s, when I was a kid going to the comic store, that definitely was the case. I was like, I collect X-Men, and people are like, "What are you doing?" Like looking down at me like you're some weirdo kid, but I didn't care. I was like, this shit's fucking cool. And then of course, and then when the 90s began, comics started becoming cool. And I was like, yeah, I've been here for 5 years already, you losers. Now you're I just discovered X-Men. It's like, shut up. But it was cool. No, actually, we embraced that. We were like, yeah, come on, X-Men, comics are cool. And those Image guys were like rock stars. And we were all cool with it. But I don't know, I miss those days. I wish we could just go back. Now it really is a bunch of the weird, like it's the freaks and there's a lot of normal people that still get comics, but I don't know, man. Sometimes I like look at people who get the comics and I'm like, okay. Speaking of weirdos, let's look at Twitter. What's going on in the bizarro world of social media? Let's see. Dun, 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 dun. This can't be good. There's never anything good on here anymore. Oh, look. City's on fire. Where's this one at? Virginia? All right, great. Let's see. All right. Some kids run over their dad with their car. All right. Let's see. Oh, man. Did you ever have This is from my childhood. Does anyone here recognize what these are? First person in the chat gets a brownie button if you can identify what you're seeing on this. And I'm not talking about the AT-AT or the Rancor here or the Godzilla. I'm talking about the big mechs. Do you guys know what these are? I'll give a second for someone to. Gives me an opportunity to take a drink. Someone professional to drink live. What are you guys drinking? You guys got a nice beverage? You should always have a nice, refreshing beverage while you listen to streams late at night. Wow. I'm drinking my favorite fountain drink, half Coke, half Dr. Pepper. 7-Eleven. 7-Eleven's doing this great thing, man. 49-cent big gulps. So every time I'm out, I swing by 7-Eleven. Today I got 2. And I was just like, it's cheaper to get 2 than it is to get the super big gulp. So I put one in the fridge with no ice. And now I have it for now. Let's see. Oh, you guys are wrong. Look at you guys. Man, you guys are failed nerds. These are Shogun Warriors. This guy here with the V on his chest. On the left. Second from the left with a big V on his chest. And he has like a little spaceship on his head. That's Mazinga. Yeah, these things are tall. They're like, well, I guess you can kind of tell by that Rancor how big these are. I loved it as a kid. I was like, these are amazing. He has little missiles shot out of his fingers. They look stupid by today's standards. You're just like, oh, okay. But that was my childhood. Let's see. Oh, former Batman writer Tom King issues apology to DC Comics artist Jay Lee. Did you see this? This bullshit. He apologized. But he said he doesn't ask for forgiveness. What kind of person? What kind of apology is that? What? I'm apologizing, but I'm not asking for forgiveness. That means you don't have remorse. Also, he says he pulled down his tweets. He didn't pull down the tweet of of the dog walk. This guy's a scumbag. You know what? I feel like he got a letter from Jim Lee and was like, here's what you're going to do. You're going to, like, corporate is like, this is how you're going to apologize. This feels all very directed. Like, maybe it wasn't Jim Lee, I don't know, but someone at AT&T was like, you're going to go issue a public apology. You're going to apologize to Jay Lee. You're going to do all this stuff, or you're never going to work for us again. And so he basically did, it really comes across like the mandatory, okay, here's what I did, apologize. It's really form letter type apology. And like I said, he didn't delete the dog walking thing, so F this dude. Right? And you shouldn't have to be told by your company to apologize. That's not a real apology. That's just you trying to keep your job. That means you're not actually sorry. Let's see. Oh, people still shitting on Last Jedi. It's like, fuck. Let's see. It was far and away the worst cinematic experience of my life. Bullshit. I can't adequately put into words in the depths of my hatred for this wretched movie. Oh, cry me a river. I will never understand how a fan of Star Wars or Luke Skywalker would watch this feeling anything less than utter contempt. Well, because I understand Star Wars. And Luke Skywalker is the hero of Return of the Jedi because he threw his lightsaber away, not because he kicked anyone's ass. And that's a fundamental problem. Anyways, I'm not going to get into debate on Star Wars because that'll just open a huge can of worms. But yeah. What the? Where's the good stuff? Why? Oh, this looks terrible. Oh, okay, there's nothing here. So let's go to Gail Simone. Dun, 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 dun. Let's see. Nolan Nerd says Japanese robots. No, regular or diet? Regular. Regular Coke, regular Dr. Pepper, half and half. And let me tell you this too. It only works in the fountain drinks. If you get like canned or bottled soda, half Coke and Dr. Pepper, it doesn't work. You mix them half and half, you're like, oh, this is weird. But when you do it in a fountain drink, for some reason it works. Let's see. Melissa says, did you hear Landwell Gale left Dynamite Comics? Well, let's not make fun of her looks. That's not a good thing to do. Yes, it's funny that you should mention that because there's a thread on screen I want to read. We're going to talk about Gail Simone leaving Dynamite Comics. All right, I promised I would talk about Dynamite. This sucks. I'd rather not. It's extremely unpleasant and draining. I didn't post much earlier because the whole thing blows. Why does it blow? What? Oh, we'll find out, I guess. I know a lot of people were angry at me for not jumping on this by their timeline, but I say again, sometimes it takes me a while to fully articulate my feelings. It just does. This is a morass for me. Someone used a thesaurus. Because I consider the guy running Dynamite to be not just a publisher, not just a friend, but damn near family. I don't have a lot of biological family, so having a guy you really trust that you really like, it's like having a brother. All right, time out for a second. I identify with this a lot. I don't have like family. So I absolutely understand what it means to have people in your life that are more than friends, that you go, this is family. I'm living with my brother from another mother right now because he's like my closest family. And in so doing, I understand what it's like, how you feel about these people. In some ways, they're closer to you than your actual family because family, you sort of have expectations that they should be there for you. And so they're always your family, but these are people that you choose to be a part of their lives. Like the loyalty that you feel towards these people is much more intense. So let's go on. I believe a publisher can publish who they want. Except unless it's for Comicsgate, right? I believe if freelancers can make a choice what to do at that point, unless it's for Comicsgate, right? It's a personal choice. And I believe almost every publisher has made mistakes. Almost every publisher? I know most freelancers have. I certainly have. But finding out all of these alleged connections was very disappointing to me. I know this is just going to end up being mocked on all sides. You think? You think? Why did you write this damn shit? You knew it was... But when you have someone you care about and this happens, I really just can't articulate how much it sucks. It really sucks, huh, Gail? Really, does it really suck that Dynamite was going to publish an alternate cover because someone paid them to do it? Is it just so terrible? Oh, there's two things going on. The public and the personal. The public thing is what it is. The personal is that this was a publisher I liked, who, when my house was robbed, immediately wrote to offer a loan to me for money if I needed it. I didn't, but it was stand-up behavior. Second, I want there to be a path out of this kind of shit. I want to believe that there's a way people can step up and make it back to the light. I don't want publishers to fold. That just makes everything worse. Then why are you trying to cancel them? Why are you trying to leave? Why are you trying to encourage other people to leave and not do work for them? And if you want there to be a path out of this shit, why are you constantly gatekeeping in this industry so that people can't do anything because you disapprove of them? Oh, no answer, Gail? Well, let's continue. I don't know what that way is. I just told you what that way is. Just let people do work and get your busybody nose out of it. Who cares? Who cares if Cecil wanted to pay Dynamite for an alternate cover? Who cares? I don't care, but I want it to exist. No, you don't. You clearly do not. Gail says, Jesus, how many fucking tweets? Look at this. This is like a fucking novel. That was a stupid thing. Now I don't. I lost my place. Here we go. I've read a bunch of people saying, oh, she doesn't want to endanger her paycheck. Oh, well, those would be people on your side, Gail. Like, we're the side saying, just do work. Be professional. Take your paycheck. Do good work. Earn a good paycheck. Rinse and repeat. Right? Everyone that you espouse to hate, everyone that you gatekeep against, actually wants you to succeed. They actually want you to write good comics. They actually just want you to shut up and stop being a total bitch and hate monger. Sorry. She keeps going. I worked at Dynamite because I liked the people. I love the characters. I always have fun there. They have routinely asked for more work than I can do. Wow. Pat yourself on the back, puff out your chest a little more. But I don't need them. Oh, I guess. I'm sorry. I spoke too soon. Keep patting yourself on the back. And they certainly don't need me. It sucks, but it's the truth. So for those of you who think I was being quiet for paychecks, you are mistaken. Since I have routinely commented on bigger companies that I was working for. Oh yeah, like when you threatened a lawsuit against DC because they fired you and you played your little woman card and their sexual harassment or whatever it was you did, and you immediately got your job back on Batgirl. Like that? Is that what you mean? Let's see. Comment on bigger companies that I was working for. I think that would be pretty obvious. I haven't spoken with Nick since all of this went down. You haven't even spoken with this dude? This dude who offered you money when you... this guy who's more than a friend. He's like family. All this stuff. And you're now posting on Twitter how you're not going to work for Dynamite and you're slamming him and you're helping Gate. And you haven't even talked to this dude? You are a fucking piece of work. Holy shit! First, I was too upset. And later, I didn't really know what I could say. Well, you could say, I'm a really big piece of shit, Nick. I'm sorry. I don't know why I get caught up in this cancel culture nonsense. I should be a loyal friend like you are to me, but I'm an imperfect being. Let me repent on my knees and beg for forgiveness. That's something you could say. You know, if you said that to me, I would forgive you. I'm a forgiving person. All I care about is that you're remorseful and you ask for forgiveness. I don't know what I could say. He's called several times. Dude, he's called you? He's called you. Not only have you not talked to him, you're ghosting him. He's calling you and you're like, I'm not even... What kind of fucking shitty person are you? Ethan used to tell stories about Gail Simone, Ethan Van Sciver, right? And of course, some of you may be like, fuck Ethan Van Sciver, whatever, you know, your opinions are your opinions. But Ethan would tell stories about how this woman stabbed him in the back and made him think that, you know, he was her friend and all this stuff. This clearly supports that story. Look at how she treats people who bend over backwards that she thinks is family. He's called several times. I've put off answering just because even thinking about the whole situation is depressing and I don't have any answers. That's called guilt. You know you're a piece of shit. You know what you're doing is wrong, but you're too much of a coward. And you need to suck up to all your little SJW fucking weirdos. And you don't want to be canceled yourself. You are deathly afraid of being the next target. I have been disappointed by comics people before. This whole thing with Warren Ellis is just intensely awful. But again, this is something I really cared about. And it just plain took the wind out of me. That's all. As for what happens in the future, it's not for me to say. I don't see any benefit to canceling a good publisher that employs a lot of good people and produces a lot of good books. But you're doing it anyway. I hope Dynamite comes out of this stronger and better. Well, I do too, honestly, and I think not working with you is one of the ways to achieve that, so bravo. They need to get rid of scum like you. The whole industry needs to get away from pieces of shit like you. Lastly, people make mistakes. They trust the wrong people. You're fucking proof of that. Nick, Ethan Van Sciver, how many other people were wrong to trust you? Nick did contact me today. We still haven't spoken. Jesus, fuck, again? But I do believe he's heard a lot of what people here have had to say. I don't know any details beyond that. Oh my God. This is still going on. How many fucking tweets is this? I feel like the story's still unfolding. I know a lot of people want me to be angry, but mostly I just feel sad. I'm an optimist by nature. I hope for the best, even though I caused the worst. Jesus. That's it. Have a good day, everyone. Actually, I will add one thing. They always have to add one thing. If anyone was going to wash this stuff off their shoes, I would think Nick would be that guy. I mean that in a good way. What? Why does Nick have to be the one to wash this off his shoes? Bitch, you're the one fucking ghosting it. You're the one betraying him. He's done nothing. By your own admission, by your own testimony, this dude has done nothing but be there for you in the hardest of times. And because one dude named Cecil on the internet is trying to make a homebrew comic and trying to make some money and using Dynamite's service to pay for an alternate cover for Vampirella, you had to try to cancel this publisher. P.S. It was a blast to write Red Sonja and Swords of Sorrow and Red Sonja Conan and Red Sonja Tarzan and the rest. Oh, just why don't you list your resume? You're a fucking piece of shit, Gail Simone. All right. I had to go through all that. I should always mark where I was in the chat before I do these things. I have to scroll up. Let's see. Well, Melissa, I hope I answered your topic. There you go. Zach says, I got blocked by Heather Antos today. She said she was waiting for Lee to be held accountable for doing CG covers. I disagreed greatly. That's a nice, polite way of putting it, Zach. Let's see. I got block-botted by Jet Black voice actor from Cowboy Bebop for saying all lives matter. Well, that means he's a racist. By the way, if you don't think all lives matter, you're a racist. I stand. That's my hill to die on. Zach Richmond. It's too bad Gale can't write a comic book as emotional as this Twitter thread. But didn't Jay Lee did that Cyberfrog for the old series, not the new one? No, Jay Lee. That's some misinformation that's being spread around. People aren't doing their research. It's he did an alternate cover for Cyberfrog Wrecked Planet, which is the newest Cyberfrog. Let's see. Ryuk says, "Boo-hoo! Let me play a song on the world's smallest violin." Nola says, "Ethan is cool." He's cool. He's got a good radio personality and charisma, and it comes off very likable. But he's not the nicest guy. Let me just say, from personal experience, he kind of throws people that are good to him under the bus, including me. I've only read the Batgirl Death of the Family tie-in, and God, that was so bad. I just skipped her part entirely. Yeah, I would skip anything. I don't know. Has Batgirl ever been good in the past decade or two? All right, so that's all the comments. Sharky Dog is in the house. I don't recognize that name. That person, I don't want to assume your gender, deleted their comments, so I don't have anything to say about it. But welcome to, if this is your first time, welcome. If it's not your first time, welcome all the same. So I discovered, just, browsing around and stuff, there's a website that I've never seen before or heard of before. And I was like, let's go check it out. It's called Comic Book Roundup. Have any of you guys ever heard of this site? I never have, so I thought I would just sort of check it out live and get the reaction, and see what it's all about. So this is like my very first time being here. And let's see, Comic Book Roundup. Looks like there's a sign in. I don't have a sign in. Let's see, is there a thing that's like about? Like, what's this site about? Like, there's nothing telling you what their site does, like what it is, what's it for, why should I? Oh, here we go, about us, way down here hidden. Comicbookroundup.com gathers critic reviews for comic books all in one place and gives an overall rating for each issue based on individual reviewer scores. Comicbookroundup.com visitors can post their own ratings and or reviews for comics, which are taken into account when calculating an issue's overall rating. The aim is to give comic book fans one place to go for reviews, and to also find new sources of reviews that they may not have known about before. Every review snippet has a link to the full review on the website that the review originated from. I hope having easy access to these sites will encourage visitors to click over to them so they can read the full review in full and find new reviews that they would like to follow. I'm not going to read the rest. Okay, so red flag immediately is popping up to me. If this is based on review websites, that's going to explain all these super high reviews because these websites are all shills. And yeah, like, come on. It's the Red Hood Outlaw. Oh, that's because Scott Lobdell got canceled, so he's going to get a 4.8 now. Although Bendis is getting a 5.9. Let's see. Yeah, look at... Oh, Jesus. Superman's pal Jimmy Olsen, 9.7. Come on. Yeah. 9.7. So I don't know how much I'm going to make use of this. We can go by publishers. Let's see. Let's see what image. Because I actually read some images. I want to see. Middle West. Look at us. All these super high ratings. Image doesn't make bad comics. Boys and girls. Look at all these. All in the green. It's almost like there's no bad comics. They're all amazing. Oh my goodness. Oh, let's see. Let's filter Marvel. Boom. Look at all these. It's all super great comics. All these Dawn of X shit books that are not readable. Empire. Oh, look at that. Just super high. Now, Daredevil is one of the best comics at Marvel. That's 8.9. So at least they're rating that higher than these other books. So that's all right. What the hell? 0.0 from what? From Marvel Masterworks? Anyways, hey, Eric Breen's in the house. Good to see you, buddy. Let's see. Ryuk says, got to boost your victim points to ensure the next move seems so great that everyone will call you stunning and brave. Let's see. I think I went up too high. So Eric says, not since she got out of the wheelchair. Zach says, is that a Bendis book I see? Yep, it is. Christopher Barker's in the house. And Nalo shows up. Listening while going to sleep. Well, I guess that's kind of the point of this channel. Or at least not the channel. the show. So, let's see. There's the top comics. This is the part. Someone posted this. I think it was on Twitter. This is the part that interested me. So you can theoretically go here and see like what the best comics are. Now, I haven't read the new Death Metal. But a lot of people are not giving Death Metal the positive reviews that the original Metal had. So I'm finding it a little bit shady that this is the 6th best comic book. I find it more than shady that Jimmy Olsen is number 3. This is... come on. Matt Fraction must know where the bodies are buried. But Hawkman's number 10. That's encouraging. Justice League Dark. It's another great book. Aquaman, though, it's like some of these I'm like, yeah, I agree, these are good books, and these other ones I'm like, I don't read Suicide Squad. People tell me Suicide Squad's good. I'll just have to trust their opinion. Hellblazer's number 1 though. That surprises me because I know Real Dr. Venkman is a big Hellblazer fan, and I don't think he's happy with the series, and he does not have snobby tastes like me. Like, he doesn't snub his nose at comics. Like, he'll read mediocre stuff if it's about things that he likes, and if he's not even happy with it, then I don't know. So yeah, I guess I don't know, the site, I think I need to do more in-depth just look. Ooh, top recent trades, Ascender. Look at this. This is my book. Get this. Superman smashes the glass. This is what I'm talking about, though. It's like, oh, good. It's so woke. We got to put it up there. Anyway, all right. I'm done with that. Let's go into digital comics. Eric says, Jimmy Olsen better than Hawkman. Damn straight. Zach says, is JL Dark worth reading? Yes, it is. Let me just tell you real quick, because, you know, I like to go off on divergence here. Justice League Dark, first of all, before Justice League, this current run of Justice League that Scott Snyder did, I was not a Justice League guy. I always thought Justice League was dumb. Maybe it's because I always associate them as Super Friends, and even though when I was a little kid I loved Super Friends, I'm now in my mid-40s, and Super Friends is childish and silly, goofball. Like, so I look at Justice League kind of in that light. I think it taints my vision. I don't know. I was like, Justice League, that's not for me. But when Scott Snyder started up his new series, I was like, I like Scott Snyder. And I really liked that Jim Lee was doing these variant covers featuring one of the Justice League members. I was like, you know what? I'm going to buy these just to collect these covers. And there should be like 7 covers, right? Because there's 7 core Justice League people. And I was like, I'll just get the first 7 issues. And if I like the series, I'll keep buying it. And if I don't, I'll just have those 7 issues, right? And so I was like, that's a cool idea. And so I tried it and I fell in love. I was like, I liked a lot how Scott Snyder did Justice League. Like, it actually reminded me of old school X-Men in many ways. A lot of it was cosmic stuff, big ideas, story kept changing. Like, it wasn't just like the same rehash stuff over and over. So anyways, that prompted me when DC said, hey, we're not just doing Justice League, we're going to do a trilogy of Justice League. We're going to do Justice League Dark, and we're going to do Justice League Odyssey. So we'll do another book that's based on magic and the occult and stuff, which is Justice League Dark. And then we're going to do another book that's big cosmic stuff. And it's Justice League Odyssey. They're going to be different teams. So I was like, well, I'll just get all 3, because I'm in now on Justice League. Let me try these other ones out. And I'll tell you what, man, Justice League Dark's in some ways is better than even Justice League. James Tynion was writing that one in the beginning, and then it passed over to Ram V, and I'm not caught up to the Ram V stuff, but Ram V is a writer who started off writing horror books over at Vault, and some people whose tastes I really respect and trust are like, he's a great horror writer, and so I was like, cool, then he's coming over to Justice League Dark. But anyways, when Justice League Dark came out, it was the one I was expecting to like the least, because it has, I'm not a big Wonder Woman person, she leads the team, it has like Man-Bat and Detective Chimp and Swamp Thing, and I was like, these are all a bunch of cast of characters that I'm not fond of, but it works. Now I'm a Detective Chimp fan. So yes, the short answer, too long, don't read. Wait, you're not reading it. Too long, don't listen. Is it's worth it. If it's something you feel is going to appeal to you, I would definitely check it out. If it's something that you're like, I'm not really sure, but I do like team books, maybe give it a try anyway. I think you'll know whether you'll like it in the first 3 issues or not. Let's see. Ash looks at comic books websites with his pinky extended. You jerk. Ram V on Justice League Dark is worth reading, especially if you like the cast of characters. Nalo is one of those people whose opinions I trust. Nalo is also willing to stream with me, unlike certain other Blue Wrench people in the chat. I haven't read any DC or Marvel this week. Well, shame on you, Christopher Barker. I recommend reading Hawkman and Daredevil. You get one of each. I would suggest reading JLD by Tynion. I haven't personally read the Ram V run yet. Okay, so you're in the same boat as me. Tehillim is in the house. Good to see you. It says, we all know America Chavez is better than Jimmy Olsen. Well, duh. Doug also says Justice League Dark is awesome. Eric says, I try to impart comic knowledge to Ash. My work is far from done. It's true. That is true. He has a lot of knowledge to impart on me. Let's see. I like the Snyder run on Jail a lot, says Zach. Me too, man. I think that might be his best stuff that I've read at DC. Like, I think I like it even better than his Batman. I think Snyder does good with the team stuff. I mean, I really liked Metal a lot. The whole No Justice was kind of meh. Like, I recommend reading it. Like, if you're going to get into Justice League, if you're like, I missed the whole boat on this, you need to read Metal first, the first Metal. Because Justice League is kind of built off of that. Like, the whole events that happen in Metal. And then in between Metal and Justice League, there was this miniseries called Justice League No Justice, which really should have just been the first 4 issues of Justice League. But you know how comic book publishers like, we need those extra dollars, number ones. Whatever. It was actually kind of boring. It wasn't terrible, but it was just, I probably wouldn't have hated it as much if it were like part of the ongoing series, because I give a little bit more leeway to ongoing issues. But when it's a mini series, you're saying this is 4-issue mini series. I expect it to be tight. Every issue should be worth my money, because this is something I'm buying often apart from my normal runs on my pull list. Christopher says, Melissa, I got rid of all my new 52 comics this week. Why'd you do that? I'm trying to get my blue wrench converted to a blue check, says Eric. Dark Knight's Metal is played out. I don't know, man. I really liked Metal. Anyways, the whole storyline that Metal kind of opens up, which I really liked because it adds a lot of mythos. Excuse me, got the burps. To the DC. Scott plays off of with his run in through Justice League. No Justice was okay, but it was almost a copy of what Jason Aaron was doing with the Avengers at the time. Oh, okay. I guess the difference, though, is that Scott Snyder can write. Jason Aaron is just too caught up hating Comicsgate and ruining characters. And that's one thing I got to appreciate about Scott Snyder. You know, say what you will, he's not everyone's cup of tea, but Scott really respects comics and the characters. I haven't seen him ruin any characters, you know, go out and do things like, you know, Jason Aaron does, who destroys Thor, destroys She-Hulk. What else has he destroyed over in the Avengers? Marvel Comics suck. Glad I don't own any. Well, that's not really true. Marvel Comics used to be the best. You know, I've got almost the entire Chris Claremont run of X-Men, and it's glorious. The Jim Shooter era of Marvel is fucking phenomenal. And Eric Breen will tell you that the era before it was even better. He's wrong, but, you know, at least it shows that it was good. Eric says, please unblock me, Heather. I'm on your side. Oh, man. I love that. I don't know if you guys have seen that video. It's spread around social media. It occurred like in the early days of the riots, when there was like these dude bros up in this like apartment, and they're like playing beer pong or something. Like the riots are going by in the street down below, and they're like looking out the window, and they're like, yo, like thumbs up and stuff to the rioters. And then they're like, rioters like throw rocks, like smash the windows. And they're like, yo, dude, what's up? We're on your side, man. And they throw another rock and break the other window. And they're like, yo, what's up? We're on your side. And it's like, no, there is no side. These leftists eat their own. It's funny as hell to watch. Snyder is such a big nerd. Every time I meet him in person, he is so excited about what he does, but he spoils his own work way too much. Well, you don't have to talk to him about his work, but I appreciate that. That's one thing about Snyder that I like. It's another thing about Donny Cates, and I see a lot of similarities in both of those guys, because they have a passion for what they do, and they're constantly thinking about big ideas. And whether or not they execute them, that's a different story, but they're always bringing ideas to the table. Melissa's Dan Didiot and Snyder are both nihilistic and want everything dark and deconstructed, and people are sick of deconstructions. I don't think that's the case at all. I don't find Snyder dark and nihilistic. That's not the case at all, Melissa. His Justice League is very good. It's very powerful. It's optimistic. Even Metal. Like, I stayed away. Like, when I caught back into comics, Dark Knight's Metal was ongoing already, and so I was like, I'm just not gonna jump in the middle of this. I'm not following this big event. But people were buying it and loving it, you know, and I've seen the covers, and I really like Greg Capullo art. And I was curious about it, though. I was like, what's it? And I was like, I should stay away, because the whole goth look of it and the whole metal and stuff, I was like, this looks freaky and weird. Like, I don't know what they're doing. So, like, almost a year later, I decided to pick it up and read it. And I got it on Comixology. They were having a sale. I picked up all the trades for like $5, and I read it, and I was like, this is really good. Like, it was really fun event. And I thought it was going to, like, you look at the covers and it's like all wicked and everything like that. You think it's going to be dark. but it's not. Like, it has such a really good story of Superman and Batman and like their friendship, that I just felt like heartwarming. I mean, there were some dark moments that happened. It was certainly edgy, but it absolutely wasn't dark and nihilistic. It was fighting against the darkness. I really like it. Let's see. Eric Breen says, wrong. As I said, far from done. Zach says, I wonder if Melissa's thinking of Zack Snyder. That's a big possibility. That's a big possibility. I mix those two up all the time. So Melissa, Zack Snyder is the filmmaker. Scott Snyder is the comic book dork. And Zack Snyder could be considered dark and nihilistic. That I would make a little bit more sense. Let's see. New 52 was garbage. It was Snyder and Dan Didiot deconstruction and darkening of DC Comics. I also hate Zack Snyder too. Jesus, you hate everybody, Melissa. One day you're going to hate me and it's going to hurt my feelings. All right. Speaking of hurt feelings, let's go in to read some comic books. Apparently Ed Brewer isn't going to grace us with his presence. So as I was saying before, Ed was the first person to make suggestions to me on my Twitter DM. So I decided, in honor of you being the first person to suggest, I would honor your request. And so the first book for tonight is going to be Astro City 47. Hopefully you guys will like this. Ed's going to miss it. I'm like, this is always weird. This is like the same thing that happened with Jimmy. I would like pick a book that Jimmy, and I'd read it, and then Jimmy wouldn't show up. I'm just like, this is so weird. I'm honoring requests. But sorry, Ed. I tried to listen, tried to do. Eric says, I got to get some Z's. Good night, kids. Remember, get your recommendations from Ash, then read something else. Man, why do you have to hurt me like that? Just put your phone on and listen into your bed. You catch some Z's, and I'll read you to sleep, Eric. I'll tuck you in, and I'll read you a little story, and you can cuddle up with your little teddy bear and your blankie. All right. This is Astro City 47 by Kurt Busiek, Norton, and Ross. Is it Alex Ross? No. I don't know. We're going to read this. To start with, I want to be really clear. I didn't steal Hank. Not really. Oh, look at the cute doggy. Yep. Don't do this, Andy. That's a $300 dog, man. Yeah? You paid $300 for this dog, Manny? Is that what you're telling me? No, look, I know I owe you, and I'm getting your money. I am. Just don't. I need the dog, man. And you can have the dog when you pay me $500. And that's not even all you owe. It was my mistake. I thought Hank was Manny's pet. Or a present for his kid or something. And he'd pay up to get him back. Turns out Manny stole Hank from some breeder. He was trying to sell him to make a little money, but not to pay me. He was into Mac Faraday for way more than he owed me. And when I took Hank, he got desperate. Well, more desperate. He tried knocking over one of Angel Bobby's coke runners for some cash. Yeah? Geez, that's not good. Thanks for telling me. Well, buddy, what are we going to do now? Rough! I'd have given Hank back. I just wanted my money. But Angel Bobby killed Manny, and what was I supposed to do then? I did steal the amulet, though. Straight up. Because the reason I was pushing Manny was I owed Mac too, and he was talking about me losing fingers if I didn't pay up. So when Manny got it in the neck, I needed money and I needed it fast. There was this house over in East Bank. Fancy house, nice view of the city. Lady architect lived there, but she was gone a lot, working. I'd heard a couple of Angel Bobby's guys talking about doing it, casing the place out. They didn't see me. So I figured if I got there before them, I was good. Who's a good dog? The title. It was a nice house. I'd never robbed any place fancier than a mid-price hotel room, and I was pretty nervous. I didn't need to be. No one was home, and I disconnected the alarm okay. But it wasn't normal. There was this stuff, like a shrine to this dead hero Stormhawk. He was in honor guard, but if you'd asked me that then, I couldn't have told you. But there wasn't any guy stuff in that house aside from that. I got some cash, jewelry, nice watches and stuff. And at the last minute, I got the amulet too. I didn't think I could sell it, but I didn't think I wanted to either. I just wanted it. That was dumb, I know. You don't go around wearing the evidence of a burglary, and I knew that. But I did it anyway. As for Hank, oh man, bad dog, no good, bad. Hey Hank, didn't mean to leave you cooped up so long, got you some goodies. Ha 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 ha, look at the little dude go, off, off. Yark, yark, yark. Who's a good dog, huh? Not a bad dog at all. Good dog, not a big dog. Ruff, 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 ruff. G-dog, not a B-dog. Ha 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 ha. Well, you know dogs. And then, it was just a regular day. We were back from the park and I was thinking of how I owed Mac another payment soon. Who wants a biscuit? You want it, H? You want the biscuit? Off, off. Boop. Uh-oh. What? I couldn't believe it. I was scared. Freaked out. But before I could even think, is this permanent? Wait. Did I just really? The amulet was gone. Like it had sunk into me. Into both of us. But I could feel it, like a glow, like I could just, whoa, whoa, and I knew, I just knew, this was gonna be great. I had dog powers, I really did. I could hear for what seemed like miles. Could separate sounds and scents. I was strong, really strong. I could leap. I felt like I could run for days. And no fingerprints. No fingerprints. I could get in anywhere. I still had arms and these great claws on my hands and feet. I could climb. And security cameras? What the hell were they going to see? I had a couple places in mind that I hadn't been able to figure out how to crack, but now I could reach 35th story windows, claw doors in. No, not good. But it felt like it felt like I shouldn't, like it wasn't my place, like I didn't belong. And while I was trying to figure that out, I heard something. But I didn't hear it exactly, not as words. I don't know, felt it? Smelled it? like fear and panic and danger. That made my nose and ears twitch. I tried to tamp it down. I mean, what was in it for me? If it was dangerous, shouldn't I steer clear? And then I wasn't thinking anymore. Row, 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 row. Crack, crack. What? Where? It's... Best I can explain it, it was like there was danger or something that I could only translate as the herd. Those I was responsible for protecting. Conk. So I protected them. You, okay now? Corgi instincts? I don't know. Oh my God. Yeah, we're all... He's so adorable. You're new, right? Oh my God, so fluffy. What's your name, little guy? I wasn't going to answer. Or if I did, I was thinking maybe Nighthound? Or Guardsman. G-Dog. I'm G-Dog. I immediately wanted to protest, to take it back. So cute. G-Dog, thanks so much, you gorgeous little... one of you has a phone, right? Call the police. Wait here for them. Press charges. I've got places to be. Aww. And next time, watch where you're going after dark. I might not be around. I didn't know what had happened, why I did any of this. I was freaking out inside. I could feel Hank inside. He was delighted. He was over the moon. What's going on, little dude? You'd tell me if you could, right? I still owed Mac, and I still wanted to figure out a way to use these powers to earn. But every time I even thought about sneaking into some place or knocking over a gas station, I got this really strong sense that it was wrong. And Hank... Okay, I won't. Good is good. The hymn is good. But I still felt it. We both felt it. The urge to use those powers, to run, to leap, to feel the muscles work. What do you say, Hank? What do you say, G? So we did. I figured out if I could manifest an outfit, and we cooked up a costume we liked. Well, Hank loved it. I thought I was a little thunder shirty, but it was okay. And the license emblem, really, Hank? Anyway, we mostly went after low-level losers like the Mount Rushmore 4. Still, we started to get a reputation. I just wish things didn't always end the same way. Oh my goodness. He's real. G-Dog, he's actually real. Cute little, what adorable. Oh, I just want to snuggle him up and... Hey, G-Dog, you rock. But, tell me something. Are you like a human who got dog powers and dressed up as a dog? Not that there's anything wrong with that. Or are you like some dog, but you just got were-person abilities somehow? Hank wanted to tell them everything. I stepped on that. It was a secret government experiment, trying to fuse the best of a human soldier and a canine corpsman. I'm special forces, and now part German Shepherd. Really? Because you look a lot like a corgi. Collie? Maybe they'd believe it if I said collie. I guess it didn't really matter. Not really. I wasn't doing it for them. Or we were, but that wasn't all of it. It just felt so bust-a-gut good. I knew that was Hank mostly. Left alone, I wouldn't have even thought about it, but still, it felt good. Meanwhile, I was still thinking there must be a way to promote myself some cash with these powers. Maybe case places as G-Dog then go out while Hank was sleeping? But I thought Hank would know anyway, and he wouldn't like it. And I didn't want that. So instead, I used the powers to make myself scarce whenever Mac guys came around looking for me. And aside from superheroing when we went out as ourselves. Hey! And yes, by the way, dogs are a chick magnet. Or at least Hank was. Your dog is such a sweetie. Can I pat him? Well, I guess that's really up to Hank. He's a vicious, vicious brute, but I don't think he'll mind. I swear I heard Hank snort. Hank, Hi, Hank. I'm Esme. Andy. Most of them were just, hi, nice dog, see you later. And what do you do? But not all of them. Well, I'm kind of between jobs, really. Andy, Hank. Hi, Esme. And it took a little while, but we talked a lot. Hey, look. You'd said you'd done some bartending, right? Yeah, some. Why? Well, my brother's got a place over on McManus and Smythe. They need a guy, mostly for midweek to start. I told them I knew someone. It's not a lot of hours right now, but if you're interested, I can... If? What, Hank? You want the job? Think you can handle it? Off. Bam, bam, bam. Punk, you in there, punk? And I'd moved twice, but Mac was still a problem. He wasn't going to quit trying to collect, and I wasn't going to be able to make that kind of money. There had to be something I could do. And then it hit me. Hey, Hank. I was a superhero, right? Ha ha! Parasitic leech on the fine people of the city, corrupter, pusher, rotten dude. And I knew where Mac holed up. I knew where the goods were. Pow. And crime's what superheroes fight, right? The ruckus brought the cops. The cops collected the evidence. The evidence got Mac's boys talking, and Mac's whole operation went down. Okay, it was a little self-serving. Okay, it was a lot self-serving, but it felt good. It felt like I'd done something worthwhile, and in fact, that I'd be out from under. Well, that was nice, too. Yerf! Ha ha, pow, we did it! I was making honest money. I was waking up clear-headed for a change. I was in better shape, even sharing my bod with a very active dog. I was thinking about other possibilities, too. Maybe, now I'm saving some money, getting back to school. Oh, Andy, go for it. You gotta do it. I can't say I didn't feel the itch towards crime like it just vanished, particularly if someone was just begging to be stolen. But I knew it would disappoint Hank, and Esme too, and my mom, and probably a few other people. But Hank would know, and that wouldn't be cool. Sometimes it even felt like I could hear him in my head. We're good, right, buddy? Is good. Good scratchins. I figured I was imagining it until... Cha, it's ours, food, stay away. I didn't get it. I could see understanding Hank, even understanding other dogs. Birds? Claw rip, bone snap, throat bite. But birds, cats, land birds. Did they all talk some secret language I was learning? I didn't have any answers. I just tried to screen it out. Birds are boring anyway. Until one day a flock of them was freaking out and I got an image from them. I learned later he was called the lycanthrope. Crush you. Standard kind of story. Lab researcher working with fungal strains, his freak accident, gets mad at his girl dating someone else, goes nuts. In this case, creates lichen army, terrorizes Brinderberg Plaza while he, getting a clue, slips away. Whoop. Nice page. Or, well, almost slips away. Sorry, guy, this might hurt a little. But I can smell you in there. Ah! His name was Sean something. One mistake and he'd ruined his life. There's a lesson in there, kids. Okay. You stay right there while Whoa, holy cow. It was Honor Guard and Winged Victory, way before she joined up. They'd cleaned up the Lycan army at Binderbeck and were given pursuit, and here I'd caught the guy. I was kind of having a hard time breathing. It was Honor Guard. Nice work. Thanks. It's G-Dog, right? We've been hearing good things about you. That was... And that was how things were. I went to school. I had a life. Hey, you. So, how'd the test go? Come on, tell me everything. I was a superhero. Like, for real. The others, they treated me like I was one of them. Like I was okay. Rawr, 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 rawr. I'd rouse lowlives and think, that could have been me once. But not anymore. I was out of it. I had got away. Thanks to an amazing dog, a terrific girlfriend, a crazy magic amulet. I couldn't believe it sometimes. Ruff, ruff. A lot of times, really. I thought about that night a lot. The amulet, the theft. It didn't seem fair that doing something wrong led to so much happiness. And I was so stupid. So unbelievably stupid. I never once thought ahead. He's a good fella, cheerful. Yeah, but he's off his feed, and he just doesn't seem to have as much energy these days. Well, he's 12, right? He's just getting older. What? Oh, sure, he's in good shape for his age, but corgis only live about 15 years or so. What? To be continued. All right. Whew. That felt like a long issue, but it was good. I like that. That was kind of a nice, wholesome, what do you say? Like, you know, like old classic. So one of the things I liked about Astro City is it feels like old school DC. That classic. I don't know if Golden Age is right. Maybe Silver Age heroes. Oh, look, Ed Brewer finally decided to show up. What's going on, Ed? Yeah, I told you I was reading your books tonight, so I was kind of making fun of you earlier that you were. I was like, I picked Ed's book. He suggested it, and now he's not even here. And then I was making fun of Jimmy for kind of the same reason, because every time I decide to read a book for his, like, he doesn't show up either. But it looks like you're both here. Let's see. Jimmy says, "What's Astro City?" So Astro City is it's a creator-owned superhero book by Kurt Busiek, the guy who wrote Marvels, and it features different characters. Like it's not really a book about a single group of characters or whatever. It's more of like the city, Astro City, and then they'll do stories of different heroes and basically kind of what goes on in Astro City. And so you'll get like story arcs that might, like in this case, features this character G-Dog. I've only ever read the original Astro City miniseries, which is about, help me, someone in chat, the main Superman character. Forget his name. I keep wanting to say Mr. Majestic, but that's a different character. Anyways, I've only ever read that. I have never read the main Astro City, but Kurt Busiek is a really good writer, and he's especially good at this type of content, I believe. He really understands like that old classic Silver Age style writing and that wholesome like hero type thing. And I mean, that's why Marvel's was so amazing. This was a really solid book, Ed. Really good recommendation. It was fun. It kind of felt like a Spider-Man book in many ways to me. Like it had that kind of like fun, youthful exuberance, some of the innocence, naivete, character turning his life around. The idea of his powers being with a corgi is just kind of adorable. I'm a huge dog fan, so I mean, you're gonna sell me on dogs every time. So let's see. Invoke names and they shall appear. Let's see. Ryuk says this is kind of like reading about a super furry. Jesus, way to make it weird, dude. During the day he's normal, but at night he uses the power of his fursona to fight crime. Let's see. Rusty Deo says each time he uses his powers, it ages the dog. No. I don't think that was not my interpretation. I think that just time went on. Like the way that Astro City is written is not like your normal comic book. It's Astro City is like a world, and then they do stories within that world. And so I feel like this story, and Ed can probably correct me if I'm wrong. My interpretation is that this story took place over several years, like, and it just kind of fast forwarded to, whenever, the dog's getting old. Samaritan, that's his name. Thank you, Melissa. Samaritan is the Superman analog for Astro City. Rusty says it was good. Good story with doing something wrong leading to something good. Wasn't pretentious and the like. All around fun. Yeah, but you can see too, I mean, there's a second part of the story. So Ed wanted me to read both 47 and 48. So I'm going to be reading 48 on Thursday. And I have a feeling something's going to happen. I don't know. I just have a feeling that there's going to be a twist, or I don't know. I'm expecting either a sad ending or something. Kurt Busiek, that's just kind of his style. So we'll see how that goes. Let's get on for the main book of the evening. I talked a lot tonight. The main book of the evening is Uncanny X-Men, Days of Future Past. All right, so tonight and Thursday night, this is a 2-part special. I figured Ed suggested a 2-part book, and normally I don't do that for my openers. And then I thought about this series has been kind of in the back of my mind for a while. That originally I was going to do this as an opener, and I was like, why don't I just do both and just do a 2-part episode where I each 2 books each, and then starting Sunday we'll start something new. Gives you guys time to suggest more things. This is one of the most classic X-Men stories ever told. It's not my favorite X-Men book by any means, but it definitely set up a mythos that I fell in love with forever. I was such a fan of the Dark Future Sentinel storylines. When I was a teenager, I had some friends. We were like, I think I've mentioned this before. I had some friends that were all in the comics, and we were all into X-Men, and each of us had our different books. And one of my buddies, I used to play role-playing games, pen and paper RPGs, and he was a game master at his house, and we would play, and he ran the Marvel Superheroes game, and he did the Days of Future Past role-playing game. We played this game for at least a year. He had this massive campaign of Days of Future Past, and we played mutants in the future of this Sentinel future, and it was very much, trying to overthrow the Sentinels, and it was epic fun. We were so in love with this. And back in those days, you didn't have tons of Days of Future Past stories. You pretty much had this. So there wasn't much to go with other than your imagination. We made up all sorts of great stories. But this is something I have not read in over 20 years. And I thought it'd be fun to go read a classic and share something that meant a lot to me. So without further ado, The Uncanny X-Men by Chris Claremont, John Byrne, with Terry Austin inking John Byrne's art. This is New York. Jeez, dog. Speaking of dogs. Sorry, let's start over. This is New York, the Big Apple. Once upon a time, it was a nice place to live. It is no longer. Ah, Logan, I wish you'd picked a safer part of Manhattan for our rendezvous. I wish there was a safer part of Manhattan for you to pick. The street is Park Avenue in the upper 70s. When Kate Pride was a child, it was one of the swankiest neighborhoods in the city, if not the world. Now it's a slum, abandoned, derelict, dying. Much like the city, the country, the planet around it. Welcome to the 21st century. Days of Future Past. This is rogue territory. The last place on Earth the Sentinels would expect a mutant, especially an X-Men, to be, which is why Wolverine chose it. I wish he'd make his entrance, though. Everything looks peaceful enough, but it feels... Hey! A trap door! No, this can't be happening now, not when we're so close, not with so much depending on us. Rogues! How perceptive of you, mutie, and how kind of you to, shall we say, drop in. You'd be advised to let me go. I'm on official Sentinel business. Big deal. We hate those tin tyrants almost as much as we hate muties. Beg all you want, sweetheart. Scream all you want. Even if people hear, no one will come to help you. You're gonna be a long time dying, mutie. Not if I have anything to say about it, rogue. Let's hear it for Kate's last stand. This inhibitor collar I'm forced to wear neutralizes my power to phase through solid objects. I'm just a normal woman. Against these odds? Oof. Robbo, George, grab her. I'm gonna flay this mutie witch alive. No, you're not, bub. You're gonna release the lady. Just like she asked. Oh, who's gonna make me, short stuff? You? Anyone gives Big Alex orders on this turf. You want the woman, old man? Then you come and save her. If you insist, but don't say I didn't warn you. In the old days, I'd have simply cut the punk in two with my retractable claws, but doing that would tell the Sentinels. Urgh! That Wolverine's back in town. And that would jeopardize the mission. You okay, Kate? I'm fine, Logan. But calls this close, I can live without. I know what you mean. Come on, let's roll. So tell me, Colonel Logan, how's life in the Canadian Resistance Army? A thrill a minute, darling. The word from London is that everything's on automatic. The moment the Sentinels move out of North America, the other great powers will launch a full-scale nuclear strike. Then it's up to the X-Men. As always, when there's a world to save, here's the last component of the jammer. Like the other modules, it's invisible to the Sentinel sensors. You shouldn't have any problems smuggling it into camp. That's easy for you to say. You got a point phase... Wait. You got a point. Sorry, I can't even read the characters right. You got a point. Phase 2 begins at midnight, when I bust you guys out. Be ready, Kate. Good luck. We'll be waiting, Logan. And thanks. At First Avenue, Kate catches the Uptown Express tram to the Bronx. En route, she doesn't bother to hide the sorrow in her eyes as she contrasts what it is with once was and wonders how so much could change so quickly. In North America in the year 2013, in 2013, far future 2013, there are 3 classes of people. H for baseline human, clean of mutant genes, allowed to breed. A for anomalous human, a normal person possessing mutant genetic potential, forbidden to breed. M for mutant, the bottom of the heap, made pariahs and outcasts by the Mutant Control Act of 1988, hunted down with a few rare exceptions, killed without mercy. In the quarter century since the Act's passage, millions have died. They were the lucky ones. Mutant 187, you are behind schedule. Explain. I was attacked by Rogue Sentinel Alpha 3. I escaped. That caused the delay. Encephalo scan indicates truthful reply. You may pass. After an exhaustive and intentionally humiliating security examination to ensure that she's carrying no contraband, Kate is allowed to re-enter the camp that has been her home since the turn of the century. As always, the first thing she sees is the cemetery. As always, there's a fresh grave. Interred here are all the victims of the Sentinels. Some I knew, most I didn't, but in a way, we're all family. Forgive us, my friends. We cannot avenge you. For what point is vengeance against an unfeeling machine? But at least we can try to ensure that this nightmare never happens, never even begins. Of all the X-Men who ever were, only 4 remain. Logan, Wolverine. Kate, Sprite. Remember that name that didn't stick? Sprite. That didn't stick. Aurora Monroe, Storm, and Peter Rasputin, Colossus. They, along with Franklin Richards, last survivor of the fabled Fantastic Four, and his lady Rachel, a telepath/telekinetic, comprise the core cadre of anti-Sentinel resistance. I'm home. Sorry I'm late. I ran into a rogue pack. They ran into Wolverine. I have the final module. Logan says he'll strike at midnight. Phase 1 must be completed by then. How normal we make it sound. Yet, what we contemplate is so fantastic, I still cannot believe it is possible. That's strange talk, Peter Alexandrovich, coming from one who's seen and done what you have. I have ever been a simple man, old friend. More farmer in my soul than superhero. Magneto! I cannot shake my doubts. If there were any alternative, Peter, any alternative, we would take it. But if we do nothing, by tomorrow the world will be at war, and by the day after tomorrow, the world will be dead. Our actions may not make things better for humanity or mutant kind, but they certainly cannot make them worse. Rachel, child, so much depends on you. I won't fail, Magneto. I've been meditating all day. Once the jammer's operational, we can start any time. Then what are we waiting for? A moment, my wife. Hmm? As I said, I have our doubts. Can our mad, desperate plan work? More importantly, should it? We are toying with the basic fabric of reality, and if we succeed, what will happen to us, to our love? It might cease to exist, along with the Sentinels. That's a risk we have to take. What does the love of two people matter against the lives of billions? I am selfish. It matters to me. Peter, if our love was meant to be, it will be. Only this time in a world where our children can grow up free and unafraid. The Sentinels killed my friends, and they killed my babies. If changing the past holds out even the slightest hope of saving them, I'll do it, whatever the cost. I love you, Kate. And I you, Peter, from the moment we first met. Screw you, Jonathan Hickman. Sorry, just had to say that. Later. Franklin. I'm making the final adjustments, sir. As you know, these inhibitor collars we wear neutralize our superpowers. This jammer should neutralize the inhibitor. Inside this room, we'll be as strong as we ever were, for as long as the unit's power cells function. By then, we'll be free of the collars. Lay back and relax, Kate. This is crazy. I've got butterflies in my stomach. Hush. Sorry. Breathe with me. Let our mind become one with mine. Sorry, your mind. And our minds one with all. Before she knows it, Catherine Pride Rasputin, is entranced, her soul flung out across the abyss of eternity. What happens next is anybody's guess. Friday, October 31st, 1980. It's the final Friday of one of the closest, hardest-fought presidential elections in recent memory. For the Uncanny X-Men, Storm, Angel, Colossus, Wolverine, and Nightcrawler, however, it's a day like any other, which begins with a strenuous combat workout in the danger room of their Westchester County, New York mansion headquarters. This is where they hone their mutant abilities to a razor-keen edge under the tutelage of their mentor, Professor Charles Xavier. It's no place for the uninitiated, as Kitty Pryde, the newest, youngest member of the team, is about to discover. Kitty, what are you doing here? Nightcrawler sent me to tell you that he got held up in the kitchen. But Storm, the door was unlocked. I had figured that you hadn't started your training session. Kid, that flaming stupid door is always unlocked. Sprite, use your phasing power. Turn around and walk out through the wall. No good. She's too rattled. I'd better get her out of here myself. Hang loose, kid. Angel will take care of you. Angel, no. The computers are running this session. Wherever you go, your test threat will automatically follow. Speaking of threats, cripes. Robot, first I save the kid, then you die. Kitty Pumpkin, hit the deck. What? Why? Oh, no. Relax, kitten. My whirlwind should pull you out of harm's way. But only for a moment. So long as Kitty remains inside the danger room and the room remains active, she is in deadly danger. And so are we. Storm! Colossus, take Sprite. Everyone else, try to reach the panic button. I'm canceling this session. This is serious. The harder we fight, the more difficult our tests become, and splitting our concentration between ourselves and Kitty will only make us more vulnerable. But protect Kitty we must. Protect her we shall. I cannot catch her in my armored form. The impact might injure her. I must become human and hope the danger room does not take advantage of me. The young Russian concentrates, and with a burst of energy, his organic steel body once more becomes flesh and blood. Am I in trouble, Peter? Am I going to get yelled at? Probably, if you survive. If I survive? Peter, look! The pile driver! He has split seconds to act. But before Colossus even begins to move, a burst of flame coupled with a stench of brimstone heralds the arrival of Nightcrawler. Oh, talk about your dramatic entrances. It seems I teleported here in the proverbial nick of time. You could say that... Wait, who's talking? I don't know who's talking. You could say that, friend Kurt. Are you all right, kitty? Uh-huh. Were you frightened? Uh-huh. I also. Where were you, Kurt? I know it was your turn to clean the breakfast dishes, but that shouldn't have made you late for this training session. I'm sorry, Aurora. The morning news had an interview with Professor Xavier about today's mutant hearings in Washington. I guess I lost track of time. Don't do it again. And you, young lady, are never to come through that door when the warning light is on. Don't be so harsh, Storm. Kitty's first training session is scheduled for this morning. I'm sure her eagerness got the better of her. Nicht wahr, Kitty? Yeah, Nightcrawler, sure. She's still antsy around you, Kurt. Ja, Wolverine. I've tried to break the ice between us, but nothing works from strangers. I don't mind that reaction from a friend. A fellow X-Men? It hurts. Be patient, Kurt. She has so much to learn. Sprite, this is Storm. Begin whenever you wish. All you have to do is walk across the room. Don't sweat it, Pumpkin. It won't hurt much. Thanks, Wolverine. I really needed that. I know the room is set on low power. It really can't hurt, but I'm still nervous. I'm scared. But Aurora believes in me. They all believe in me. I can't let them down. She's shaking as she takes her first hesitant step. But as she moves further into the room, and nothing seems to happen to her, her confidence slowly increases. Unsure of how to cope with all the myriad threats thrown her way, Kitty responds instinctively by simply using her mutant ability to phase through solid objects. She doesn't have to. Nothing can touch her. Simultaneously, as she doesn't so much as walk on the floor as on the molecules of air above the floor. When the trapdoors open, she does not fall. The danger room does its level best to stop her. But it's a wasted effort. And in the observation booth, I thought I'd seen it all. Charlie spends weeks programming the room for Kitty, and she beats it with her eyes closed. Oh man, I wish Xavier were here. I'd give anything to see his reaction. Back to the drawing board, I think. I made it. How'd I do, Storm? You were splendid, kitten. Gee. Suddenly, reality twists inside out for Kitty. She comes face to face with herself, an older, sadder, wiser, stronger self. And then her soul, too, is flung out over the abyss of eternity. In her mind, she screams. In reality, she drops without a sound. Kitty! Kurt, get down here. How is she? Breathing, thank heaven. Her pulse is strong enough and steady. There's no sign of any gross injury. She looks stunned, Aurora. Impossible. We'd have seen the stun beam. And besides, I shut down the systems the moment she reached the door. Take her to the infirmary for an in-depth examination. Perhaps this is a delayed reaction to something that happened during her test. And if it is? If my kitten is hurt or crippled or worse? No, I dare not think that. She's all right. She has to be. Soon, According to the biosensors, Kitty's fine. Then why did she collapse? Why is she still unconscious? Easy, Storm. Crawler said the kid's okay. Okay physically, Flyboy, but I'm getting some weird readings from this electroencephalogram. I ran comparisons between these and the ones in Kitty's metafile. The basic pattern is the same, but these are more complex. Maybe Charlie or Moira McTaggart can puzzle it out. This is sure way beyond me. One thing is certain. Something is happening to Kitty. But as an attack, and if so, from whom? Or are we simply letting our imaginations run away with us? Who? Gert? Ah! Our kleine Fräulein is awake? Gert! It's you, it's really you, alive. Of course, I'm alive. What else would I be? I'm in the med lab, in the mansion, in Westchester. Then I made it. Kitty, you aren't making sense. Lie down, little one. Rest now. I can't. There's no time. Angel, Aurora, Peter. This is incredible. Rachel said she could do it, but in my heart of hearts I didn't believe she could pull it off. Who is Rachel? Pull what off, kitten? Kitten. It's been years since you called me that. Kitty, child, are you all right? I'm fine, Aurora, but I'm not Kitty. I'm Kate. This body is inhabited by the mind and persona, the soul of the woman I'll be in 30 years. I'm from the future. Are you indeed? I think you're tired. You've had a rough morning and a hard shock. I'm concussed and hallucinating, is that it? It's funny, I remember you telling me that the hardest part of this operation would be convincing you of the truth. The fact remains that on Halloween, 1980, today, the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants will murder presidential candidate Robert Kelly, along with the Charles Xavier and Moira McTaggart. Kelly's assassination will set in motion a sequence of events that 30 years from now will culminate in the destruction of the world in a nuclear holocaust. I'm here to prevent that. She looks like a kid, but she stands, talks, moves, smells like a woman. Crazy as it sounds, Aurora, my instincts say she's telling the truth. Aurora, what I may say may be a fantasy, but suppose it isn't. Can you afford to stand idly by while Senator Kelly, not to mention Charles and Moira, are murdered? No, I can't. We'll take you to Washington, kitten. There, Professor X can telepathically mind scan you to determine your bona fides far more effectively than any of us could, and also determine the veracity of your story. And so, as soon as Angel, in his alter ego as Warren Worthington III, master of one of America's larger private fortunes, whistles up his private jet, the X-Men are on their way. You say Kelly's death initiates a sequence of events, Kitty? What events? Kelly is a decent man, with what he feels are legitimate concerns about the increasing numbers of superpowered mutants in the world. The Brotherhood killed him to teach humanity to fear and respect the power of Homo Superior. Their plan backfired. Mutants became objects of fear and hatred. We thought the mood of hysterical paranoia would pass. It didn't. In 1984, a rabid anti-mutant candidate was elected president. Within a year, the first Mutant Control Act was passed. The Supreme Court, bless them, struck it down as unconstitutional. The administration responded by reactivating the Sentinels. The robots were given an open-ended program with fatally broad parameters to eliminate the mutant menace once and for all. The Sentinels concluded that the best way to do that would be to take over the country. In the process, they destroyed not only mutants, but non-mutant super beings, both heroes and villains. By the turn of the century, the North American continent was under their complete control. We fought, we lost, we died. And now, seeing you all alive, oh God, I didn't think it would hurt this much. For a while, there are no sounds in the jet's cabin, save this child woman's anguished sobs. Then, her voice low and choked, Kate forces herself to finish her story. The rest of the world became more frightened of the Sentinels than the mutant kind. They threatened war if the Sentinels moved against them. The Sentinels, driven by their prime directive, are about to make that move. One of the surviving X-Men is a telepath. She devised a plan to physically exchange the mind of one of us in the future with our counterpart in the past. I was chosen because, at this time, as Kitty, I hadn't yet been trained to defend myself against a psychic attack. Wolverine Wolverine should have freed the others by now. Wherever now is, I wonder how they're doing. 2013, New York City.
This old subway tunnel's working like a charm. It'll take us into the heart of Manhattan. How's Kate?
Unconscious. I hope she remains so. The less Kitty knows of what has happened to her, and what may happen to her, the better. I wish we could have brought Magneto.
He knew what he was doing when he volunteered to cover our escape. His wheelchair would have slowed us up too much.
A noble death is still a death, Logan. And I am so sick of death, eh? Above us, that sound. Sentinels! Ah! Franklin Richards gets incinerated. Franklin!
All units alert. Patrol 3L40 has contacted mutant escapees from South Bronx internment facility. Mutants, you are advised to surrender or face immediate termination. This is your only warning.
Franklin, Storm, help me. When he died, I felt it in my mind. I know, Rachel, but you mustn't yield to your pain, your grief. We need you. I won't break, Storm. Those bloody robots killed my man. The least I can do in return is kill them.
Warning, warning. This unit under telekinetic attacks. Central control. All city alert. Mutant contacts not wearing inhibitor collars. Patrol 3L40 requesting immediate reinforcement. Identification. This unit facing the X-Men. Storm.
The force of my lightning bolt is staggering the Sentinel, but I'm not doing him any real damage. He's too well insulated. Rachel, guard Kate with your life.
Hola, Wolverine. It's been a long time since we've practiced a fastball special, has it not? Too long, pal. As Nightcrawler used to say, up, up, and away.
Muscles clench, synapses close, and gleaming adamantium claws pop out of the backs of Wolverine's hands. These retractable claws are forged of the strongest metal known, one far stronger than the Sentinel's omnium steel bodies. Likewise, his entire skeleton is laced with that of the same miracle metal, making his bones virtually unbreakable. Add to that a berserker fury that gives him the frightening prowess of a score of heroes. Squawk! And it's no wonder that even these emotionless robots respect and almost fear him. Because Wolverine is a fucking badass. And this is why Wolverine quickly became one of the most popular Marvel characters all throughout, up probably in the 90s that started to change, but Wolverine was, I fucking love Wolverine.
This unit critically damaged but still functional. Mutant assailant identified as Wolverine has been captured. Termination imminent. Storm, I've given you an opening. Finish this sucker.
As good as done, Wolverine. This lightning bolt should reduce the Sentinel's computer brain to so much slag.
Way to go, darling. Colossus and Rachel zapped the last one.
3 down and how many million to go? Company is coming, my friends. Another triad patrol. The longer we stay in one place, the more vulnerable we become. No matter how hard or well we fight, the Sentinels can overwhelm us through sheer weight of numbers. Our only hope is to hit and run, and never let ourselves be backed into a corner.
Alert. Contact established with Mutant X-Men Colossus.
If I hit the base of this derelict hotel precisely right, I think I can give our would-be pursuers a headache they'll never forget. The robot's screams are frighteningly human, but Colossus does not care. He was the gentlest of souls, until the Sentinels slew his friends and his children, and thereby taught him how to hate. We must push on. The Baxter Building is the Sentinel's continental nerve center. Destroy it and we can cripple them. I wish Kate luck wherever she is. I do not know who will need it more. Her or us. October 31st, 1980, Washington, D.C. This is the Pentagon, the largest building of its type in the world. Command headquarters of the mightiest military machine that the world has ever known. Too many people, it is more truly representative, for good or ill, of the reality of America than the White House or Congress just across the Potomac River. Deep within this man-made labyrinth, we find a young woman named Raven Darkholme. Colonel, I'll expect the latest stealth test results on my desk Monday morning. You'll have 'em, ma'am. She works out of the office of the Assistant Secretary of Defense for Research and Development, and, as such, has access to the most secret and sophisticated weaponry in America's arsenal. She's earned her position and the complete trust of her superiors. Unfortunately, that loyalty is as much an illusion as her appearance, for Raven Darkholme is a metamorph, a shapeshifter, a mutant, better known to her comrades as Mystique, founder and leader of the new Brotherhood of Evil Mutants. Avalanche, whose touch crumbles any solid object, creating an irresistible avalanche/tidal wave effect with earth, stone, steel, anything. Destiny, a blind precog with the psychic ability to see the future, the only member the Brotherhood Raven calls friend. Good morning, all. I trust these accommodations meet with your approval. Pyro, who controls living flame. And last, but not least, the Blob, only recently escaped from prison, a man whom no physical force can harm. No complaints? How nice. Destiny, what does the future hold? It's hard to be certain, Raven. I sense a variable, new random element that could seriously affect our plan. I've been unable to focus on it. Also, the Blob is uncomfortable with your leadership. There is a potential for trouble. Blob?
Hey, Ray. You helped me bust me out of the joint. You got me threads, bread, a classy pad. For that, I'm grateful. I just don't take orders from a broad.
That's not very politically correct. I think Blob needs to be canceled. Oh, sorry. Gotta get back to the comic. Well, la-dee-da, Chunky. You think you can do better?
Blow it out your Union Jack, Limey. This is between me and... Yeah!
Watch your mouth and remember your place, or the next time you light a match, I'll create a demon that will parboil you instead of scatter you. I've taken all the lip from you, I'm gonna, Englishman. Fred J. Dukes ain't no 2-bit amateur. I was part of the original Brotherhood. I worked for Magneto. If that was such an honor, Blob, how come you spent the last few years in prison? That sculpture, Avalanche, you disintegrated it. A minor demonstration of my power. Why, I don't need no hunk of rock to pulverize this punk. That's enough, all of you. You're correct, Blob. I'm not Magneto. But cross me in any way, and you'll find I can be as implacable and deadly a foe as the master of magnetism ever was. Now prepare yourselves, mutants. This time has come to strike. The United States Senate has been described as the greatest deliberative body on earth. It has seen noble times and shameful ones. It has epitomized the highest ideals of humanity and the worst realities. Today, once again, it and the people it represents are being put to the test. We're gathered here to address an issue of critical national and international importance. This is not a witch hunt, but we hope and pray a search for the truth. Much about our world has changed in recent years. We face situations and threats undreamed of by our earlier generations. One such is the appearance of Homo superior, mutants, flesh of our flesh, blood of our blood, yet possessing powers and abilities which set them apart, some would say above, the rest of humanity. Kelly's laying it on a bit thick. So what else is new? Among our witnesses are Professor Charles Xavier, world-renowned expert on genetics, and Dr. Moira McTaggart of Edinburgh University, whose work in the field has won her the Nobel Prize. If you ask me, Charles, that sod's already made up his mind. Registration of mutants today, gas chambers tomorrow. Be charitable, Moira. He's scared. We must teach him that his fear is unfounded. Coming through the door, Peter, Aurora, and Kitty? I'd best contact them telepathically. Storm, what are you doing here? Is something wrong? You might say that, Professor. Open your mind to me, child. Your memories will explain matters far more effectively than your words. Overcoming an instinctive flash of reluctance and distaste, Storm does as she's told. After mind scanning Storm, Xavier turns to Kitty, and what he sees in her brain makes him pale. Meanwhile, oh ho! This hearing's getting interesting. That's Warren Worthington. He's a mutie. His handle's the Angel. He used to bankroll a West Coast supergroup called the Champions. Tell Lois to try for an interview. Senator, in all honesty, I fail to see the need for this hearing or your concern. The need is simple, Dr. McTaggart. I merely wonder if, in a world of beings like Dr. Doom, Magneto, the Fantastic Four, the Avengers, and Lord knows how many others, there's any place for ordinary men and women. I wonder as well, Doctor, if this same question wasn't asked by the last Neanderthal about the first Cro-Magnon. Huh? Holy! Get out of here, you people! Run for it! The walls are coming down! Yeah! Help! And when the avalanche has run its course... An apt question, Senator Kelly, and one with its own answer, for we all know what the first Cro-Magnon did to the last Neanderthal. I am Mystique. My colleagues and I comprise the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants. We are your future humans. Resist us at your peril. You've been babbling a lot about the mutant menace, Kelly. We're here to teach you the error of your ways.
Shoot! A lightning bolt! Who did that? Skrakow!
We did, Comrade Blob. We are the X-Men.
Oh, yeah?
Except for that wing bozo, you sure ain't no X-Men I ever met.
That's right, Fatso. We're better.
If you mean to harm Senator Kelly, Mystique, or anyone here, you'll have to go through us to get him. That storm will be a pleasure. Kill them! Next. Time out of mind. Dun dun dun. All right. That was a bit long. These older books, man, they have a lot. There's like a lot more density packed in them. So they take a lot longer to read through. I kind of forgot to calculate for that, and I didn't really understand how long that the Kurt Busiek, the Astro City book, was going to take. But hopefully it was enjoyable. It was really enjoyable for me. This book was better than I remember it. I was like, I knew I liked it, but I was still thinking it was going to kind of feel, I don't know, dated or whatever. But no, this was by the time Chris Claremont and John Byrne were ticking on all cylinders. Hopefully you liked it as much as I did. This is a book that really cemented my love of X-Men, just captured my imagination as a teenager. Just love these characters. This is like the epitome of what X-Men was for me. And then I'm just going to borrow the next book, so we'll have it ready for next Thursday. So let me get to the chat, and we'll wrap things up here. I always forget to mark where I was. I just go back up to where Breen was making fun of me. There we go. Thanks, Breen. You're good for something. Let's see. Ryuk says, I never heard of this. Can we get a moment of silence for Vertigo Comics? Oh, that's sad. That's sad. Astro City was one of the popular books. If you like old classic like superhero stuff, Astro City is a good recommend. You can, I got these on Amazon or comics on, can't even speak, Comixology Unlimited. So you can, I think the whole series is available to read. Just get this membership and you can blast through it. Let's see. Let me scroll down. Okay. Oh, man, I went way too high again as usual. Let's see. Oh, hey, Dane decided to show up. Man, this is late for you, Dane. Good to see you, though. He says, nowhere near enough cringe on this channel these days. Oh, I know. It sucks. I'm reading good comics. Let's see. Ed says, nice. Whoa, that's powerful. I don't know the context of what that comment came in for. Let's see. Melissa says, Magneto must be immortal or super, super old. Well, technically, Melissa, he's younger in this book than currently. Because remember, even the future of this story is 2013. Right? But in modern Marvel Comics, it's 2020. So, yeah. Think about that one for a second. Ed Brewer says 7-Up was a better X-Man. What the hell is that? I don't even know what that means. Underworld Dreams in the house. Good to see you, buddy. Nightcrawler, when he teleported, is said to smell like brimstone. While that sounds cool, it really just smells like a fart every time he teleports. No, I think sulfur is what smells like a fart. Brimstone is different. Let's see. Ed says Storm's outfit. Don't know how to take that. Ryuk says, man, this is really good. I kind of want to finish this by myself. Where do I start and finish? Well, if you're talking about X-Men, I'm going to finish the story Thursday. So you can finish then with me on Thursday. Let's see. Melissa says, Franklin is a god. How can he get disintegrated? Well, he's got powers that are like a god, but he's still flesh and blood. So, also, we don't actually know what Franklin's powers were as an adult, right? Because in the old school Fantastic Four, his powers were so dangerous that Reed Richards, like, basically nullified him because they're just too powerful to use. That's been something, of course, that modern comics has gotten rid of. And it's like, oh, whatever, and they just let the character be a god, and it's ruined comics. Well, it by itself hasn't. It's just been one of the many different things. Melissa says Destiny is an old lady. That's true. Fastball special, my favorite Wolverine and Colossus. I know, man. That was old. That's great stuff. I miss the good Professor X. You and me both. It likes you. You can't even get part of this in the majority of modern comics. I don't know what you're saying there, Riek. I'm sorry. My son Jake's first X-Men figure was Avalanche and Spider-Man animated series McDonald's car from the 70s, Batman and Robin clock. Okay. He had him in his crib in 1993. And Melissa says, bye, guys. All right. Well, that was unceremonious goodbye. Guys, I really appreciate, and there's several of you guys still in the chat, if you haven't fallen asleep already. Hopefully you enjoyed these books. I really enjoyed reading both of them, especially this X-Men book. Man, this was classic X-Men for me. I mean, it is classic X-Men, period. But this story is one of the most iconic stories in Marvel history. I think, hopefully, if you contrast this with the writing of today, it's just, hopefully you can see like how black and white, like, and different it is. Like, this is why I read like a Gary Duggan book or something, and I'm just like, this is trash compared to look what Chris Claremont and John Byrne were doing 40 years ago. This book's 40 years old. Yeah, so Rick says, I meant this collection of comics of X-Men. The only X-Men comics I really have are majority of the Dark Phoenix stuff. I tried collection Age of Apocalypse, but they became too pricey at one point. Okay. I don't know. Well, I mean, there is a trade for Days of Future Past. This is issue 141 of Uncanny X-Men. Thursday, I'm going to read issue 142. And then I would just say, if you like, just keep reading, like, from those. These particular issues I'm reading from are Comixology Unlimited. Another option you have is Marvel Unlimited, has all the X-Men. Comixology Unlimited only has certain ones, so you won't be able to read. When I was young, I picked up X-Men on issue 210 was my first. I did that earlier, like months ago on the channel. I read X-Men 210. But that was my first. That was where I started collecting comics, and then I was going forward and backwards. Every month as a new issue came out, I'd buy it and read it, but then I would go to the comic book store and buy back issues. And I really think a good place to start, if you don't want to start this far back, is like $1.99, right around there. You get the Trial of Magneto. It's a really great time. It's that, I don't know how to say it. Like, a lot of changes were happening for the X-Men. I jumped in like a year into that change. So when I was going back, it was kind of backfilling the story. One of the interesting things is the character Rachel that you saw. She's in the future, right? That's Rachel Summers. Issue 1, I think it's 19. It's somewhere in the 90s. Maybe I'll have to do some research to tell you, but somewhere in the 90s, she comes back to the past. And that's part of like the second part of the Days of Future Past. She comes back to the past to try to stop the future. she ends up joining the team of X-Men, and she becomes one of my favorite X-Men ever. And I think it's issue 199. They do a crossover with Secret Wars 2, and she fights the Beyonder, and that's a badass issue. Rachel Summers is awesome. I hate what Marvel has done to her. God, it's just infuriating. They ruined such a great character. But this whole time, the Chris Claremont run, you cannot go wrong. It starts off kind of sketchy. I mean, you could always start with Giant Size X-Men #1, but I feel like it's raw for like the first 30 issues. The Dark Phoenix saga is, I think, where it starts to really pick up. Dark Phoenix saga is the storyline before this. So if you like this and you're like, okay, Dark Phoenix saga, then it comes into this. I think the Dark Phoenix saga is like the 130s. And then just keep on going. There's so many great stories in here. And Chris, one of the great things about being an X-Men fan during the Chris Claremont era is that everything kind of matters and it comes around and plays later. You know, like Rachel Summers coming and joining the team. That happens in the 190s, but she makes her appearance here in issue 141. When you were reading this live, you know, if you were 1980, you read this book, you're like, oh, okay, that's a character in the future, whatever. Rachel, who is she? You don't know. And then all of a sudden in the 90s, she comes back and she's Rachel Summers, and you're like, what? Mind explode! Like, that's Scott Summers' kid. And you know, that was 50 issues go by, but all this stuff mattered. And so when you read X-Men in that fashion, you get this. I mean, you can enjoy them issue by issue, like what you just did. But when you get like 100 issues of story or 200 issues, like you just enjoy this massive saga and it all matters. It's all connected. This is the reason why Claremont, you know, gets the credit that he deserves and why X-Men was the best-selling comic probably ever. But I'm talking way too much about that. You guys, thanks for indulging me. This was a really long stream, way longer than I normally do. But you guys are troopers and champs. I hope you enjoyed the books. Join me Thursday for part 2 of both of them. And I hope to see you there. Don't forget tomorrow's New Comic Book Day. Hope you guys get some good comics. And